and a Southern and Grambling are champion, a team that's gone to 3 straight FCS playoffs, winning first-round games back-to-back years, going back-to-back seasons with 9 wins. They'll kick off their spring season, this unprecedented spring season, tomorrow night down there at John L. Guidry Stadium when they host Lincoln University of Missouri. Kickoff scheduled for 6 p.m. It's our privilege to welcome to RP3 and Company the Nicholls head football coach himself, the one and only Tim Rebowe. Coach, good morning to you, brother. How good does it feel to have a game week for you, your staff, and your team, bud?
Ray, thanks for having me, man. It is game week, and that's all our guys know right now. They don't know that it's springtime. They just know it's football, and we got a game on the schedule, and those guys are so excited to play. You know, we counted it up the other day. It was over 400 days since the last time these guys have taken the field, so they are pretty anxious to get started.
Coach, let's start there. Let's go back to the fall when the pandemic, COVID-19, just wreaks havoc on scheduling, and it just wasn't for you guys at the FCS level. It was, at the Division I level, the FBS level as well, with the Big Ten and the Pac-12, Mountain West, and other conferences deciding to cancel their seasons. Now, they went back and played them, but you guys opted to push to the spring. When that decision is being made, what kind of discussions are being had between you, your athletic director, and the conference when the decision was made to push football to the spring?
Very difficult times, to try to keep these guys, because you kept holding out hope that we were going to play and that we were going to make this thing work. And at our level, it did become somewhat of a financial decision on why we had to do it as far as the testing. There were so many unknowns and how we were going to handle it. But the other thing that was a deciding factor between the conference and our athletic directors, and the presidents had to get involved with it, was when you have less than 50% of the schools in the country, the FCS schools, less than 50% decide not to play a schedule, then you would not have a national championship or the playoffs. So once we were holding out, went down to 10 conferences, then 9, then 8, and once it got below 50%, there was no choice but for us is to not to play the season, and we had to do that. We got together even as a state saying, okay, the conference, Southern Conference, is not going to play. What do we want to do? Do we want to try to play some games? And then we got together as a state and said, if safety is the really true reason why we're not playing our conference schedule, then we don't think we need to play just a non-conference just to go play games, and that was the decision. So, you can look back. It's the right decision at that time. We stuck with it, and now we're going to get to play in the spring.
Coach, so how did you handle the fall then? Once the decision's made not to have the season, what does that fall season look like? How did you treat it? How did you and your staff treat it with your players? What was practice like? How much time were you able to have with your guys and everything like that?
Once it came out, there were so many different rules coming from the NCAA on what was going to be allowed if you were not playing. What was going to be your testing protocol, how many days you can actually practice. We didn't, when we canceled the season, Ray, we didn't say, let's just keep practicing. I mean, you couldn't do that to them kids, just for practice with nothing in sight. So we gave them a couple of days off. We found out when we were able to go and get this thing started again, and we started working out and doing some off-season training. And then it came at the end, said, hey, you can have what is called fall ball like you would have spring ball. And there were so many days that you were going to be able to get in, and you could have got those in whenever you wanted. So we pushed those into October, into November. Another interesting fact for us is our school, we moved school up so early that we were going to end early, meaning we were ending our school before Thanksgiving. So we had to get all of our practice in before that, because when the kids left, we wasn't seeing it again for January.
Talking with Nicholls head football coach Tim Rebowe. He joins us here on the Twin Peaks Hotline. Coach, so you gear up and you have to kind of treat the fall like the spring, but you do get out of school early down there in Thibodaux. But then when did you start having you guys report for the spring semester and for spring football? And when did camp begin for you guys, essentially?
Yeah, a little bit different there, too, because you used to, in June and July, gearing up for your August camp that you're going to have. Well, we didn't have that. We didn't have that end of November, December, where our guys could be here working out. So once again, there was a certain date that you can, just like you did in the fall, when your first game was, you can cast it and adjust it well. And that's why it's so good to get to this week, I tell you.
Coach, how challenging is it coaching a football team and preparing for a season in the middle of a pandemic and the protocols that you have to follow because of that?
Nothing like we've ever been through in 30-plus years of coaching. Coaches are creatures of habit, and we also talk about we always borrow things from other coaches and other people and how it was done. And we always refer to the playbook. You go to the playbook for answers. The interesting thing about this is there was no playbook. How do you handle something like this? No spring football, no fall football. What do you do? So we constantly leaning on, and look, I have all good friends, from Frank Selfo to Brad Laird to Frank Wilson. We lean on each other a bunch. And what are you doing? How do you handle this situation? But, even your meetings, you got to worry about being 6 feet apart and how you're going to socially distance and how you're going to handle that constantly. It's been a struggle, but my hat's off is to our administration, Jay Kloon, our president, that kept our university open, and Jonathan Terrell, our athletic director, has been fantastic and getting us to this point where we need to be. And you can't say enough about our players, too, about handling the business and staying away from those positive tests, which we're going to have to face at some point this year.
Coach, does it give you an advantage a little bit seeing how other programs across the country dealt with COVID and the pros and the cons of how to deal with it in the fall? Does that kind of give you a leg up of how to kind of attack things if problems do pop up during the spring season?
I think so. Again, we talked to the people who did play. Our friends at LSU that played, our friends at UL that played the season and help us on how to do certain things. It does. When I look back to, I don't know, it would have been tough playing the season. I don't know if we could have done it like they had to do. You got guys out this week, you schedule to play a game, and all of a sudden you're not going to play, and you have 2 weeks off, and that had to be very, very difficult on the mindset of those players. And so I hope that we learned a lot from those guys.
Wrapping up our conversation here with Nicholls head football coach Tim Rebowe. He joins us on the Twin Peaks Hotline. Coach, how challenging was it putting together the schedule? Because I can imagine, you don't have a wealth of teams to be able to kind of pull from to play. You guys are opening up against Lincoln University of Missouri, not typically a team that would maybe be on your radar. So how much of a challenge was it for you and the department to be able to put together a schedule?
I wish you can see me right now, how I'm smiling, how this thing came about, because once the conference set the schedule that it was going to be a 16 schedule, you could have played up to 2 other non-conference games. You could have played a total of 8. Just so happened, the schedule was going to start on February the 20th, the conference schedule. We have a bye. And our first game was not going to be till February 27th. So we wanted to play a non-conference game, and we were scouring the country looking and trying to get somebody to come. And just like you said, some teams needed money, didn't have a lot of money to pay a team to come and play us or for us to go play somewhere else. So we had a couple other teams scheduled. They fell through at the last minute. And our assistant athletic director, Andrew Kearney, I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago, got on the phone and just started calling, and we found Lincoln, Missouri that wanted to come and play a game, and they're going to drive down and get us in the stadium and have us a little tune-up before we start conference next week against Lamar.
Oh, man, one door closes, another one opens, Coach.
Yeah. And we needed this game. There's a lot of, to see what your team is going to look like. We have some holes that we got to try to fill from coming off of last year's team. So it's good to have a little preseason tune-up game that we couldn't play before we get started.
All right, Coach, I got to ask you about Chase Fourcade. I was always impressed anytime I dealt with them, including interviewing him down at the Manning Passing Academy 2 years ago. He did so much for your team, so much part of your success. Obviously, he's moved on. He's graduated. So who is going to be your starting quarterback, one? And two, tell us just a little bit about what Chase meant to you and the program.
Well, we have two guys that's really been in the battle for that starting quarterback. Colin Grenier, who has been with us for 3 years now. He has, been the understudy on the Chase, really understands the offense. And Lindsey Scott, who was a transfer from us out of Zachary High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, out of, close to Baton Rouge. So those two have been battling, and Lindsey he is interning with us, so it's still good to have him on a sideline, and he's been a wealth of knowledge for those quarterbacks too, even the receivers, because he understands our offense in and out.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, brother. I'm glad that you guys are going to be able to have a season here in the spring. Glad you got your schedule finalized, and best of luck tomorrow night against Lincoln University of Missouri there at John L. Guidry Stadium, brother, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. Tell all my friends in Lafayette I said hello.
That's Tim Rebowe. He turned around Nicholls. 2-time Southland Conference champion, 3 FCF playoff appearances, 2 FCF playoff wins, back-to-back 9-win seasons. Tremendous job by Coach Rebowe down there in Thibodaux. We got to take a timeout. More RP3 and Company coming up right here on Acadiana Sports Station 103.7 The Game, simulcast on Stadium 32.1.